Well, I would love to watch one of those games, Germany, Netherlands in the finals, and I'm not so sure about Germany. But anyways, that's my own bias. Let's move on to a posting. I think it's going to be really hard to convince our guests over there, but it's okay. Let's move on to another posting from Dennis Munyo from Sita Mukono in Uganda, who writes, "The question is irrelevant to Africa. Why is it that in the Olympics, African teams seem not to be the underdog? The Nigerians can tell it better. But when it comes to the World Cup, there seems to be a disconnect between the African talent and the game." Well, one more comment from Moy Resendez from Hidalgo in Mexico, who says, "I hope it will be Argentina because the World Cup has to stay in South America." Well, I gotta say, the South American teams really worked it, and I actually thought the Cup could also go to South America with teams like Colombia. And I think it's still possible for the Cup to go to Diego Armando Maradona's country, also known as Lionel Messi's country, Shaka.
Very interesting. Philip, what about that?
For the Cup staying in South America?
Yeah, and also make some comparisons about how African countries have fared in Olympics. They have won the gold medal for Olympics.
Well, the Olympic is under 23 tournament, right? And World Cup is like, well, seasoned professionals. Everyone's playing. Everyone's allowed to play. And in the Olympics, you can have maybe 3 professionals that are playing on that team. So a youth tournament is a little bit different from a World Cup. And I think the problem with the African teams, that's my opinion, that when they come home, right, they're not making the kind of money that they're making as they are in Europe. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that they're playing for the country so much, you know? Mm-hmm. Whereas you have teams like Mexico, when those guys are playing and they're playing for that jersey, the mm-hmm. Brazilians, they act the same way. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, it's not happening for the African teams. And I just can't pinpoint my finger on it, but it's just too much infighting. You have Cameroon, Song and Samuel Eto'o fighting against themselves. You have this camp and this camp. How can you win like this? You cannot. You know, Ivory Coast, you have Didier Drogba, Didier Zakora, Yaya Toure, Kolo Toure, Arthur Boca, all these big-time international players. And they can't win. They've not won the African Cup. They can't win in the World Cup. They lost to Greece. And all they had to do was tie the game. The game was tied, 2 minutes left to go, and the entire Ivory Coast team went on an counterattack. They lost the ball up top, and then they were jogging back. And Greece knew they had to win and countered them really quickly. And before you know it, boom, a guy's tripping a guy in the box, penalty kick, game over. You know, in that case, you have to have the discipline to stay back, take the ball to the corner, hold it, stall as long as you can, and kill the game off.
I see.
And that was the problem.
Well.